Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and after I made a couple of videos about Rich Piana's cycle and what he's doing there, I had a few people actually ask me, hey, why doesn't Rich just shrink down a bit? He could drop down really small. He could go on TRT and, lose a good chunk of his gains and he'd still do good because of his following and his outreach and everything else. And I actually disagree with that. And it's unfortunate because of Rich's situation that he can't really afford to do that. And I'm going to break down for you guys kind of why that is. But the primary thing is that he has permanent fake muscle in his arms and delts, and he has enormous, tremendous amounts of it there. And the problem is that because of that, he can't shrink down because he's going to look more absurd than he does now. And everyone who doesn't fully understand what he's done is going to realize something is really wrong with his physique. That's going to be difficult for him to further sell or market anything to build arms, shoulders, things like that when people realize that the majority of what he has in them isn't actually muscle. It's collagen injections from doing what they call PMMA injections, which is collagen. It's permanent. And let me show you guys an example of something that is less extreme in the problem you run into. You take an old classic photo of Flex Wheeler here. To the trained eye, you can tell that Flex has a pretty large amount of synthol, which is an oil that people inject made out of medium chain triglycerides, lidocaine, a little bit of alcohol to make it sterile. They inject it into their muscles. He has quite a bit of it in his triceps and biceps. And that's well and good. That's fine when you're big. But the problem is that by using it over time, large amounts of it, you build up scar tissue, just like you do if you do site injections with anabolics in the muscle tissue. You build large amounts of scar tissue up, and it doesn't always go away. You look at him a decade later in these photos of him trying to come back to training after kidney transplant and everything, having one kidney, not really on any gear, you notice he looks deformed. He has big, massive lumps of fake looking muscle in his triceps and biceps in the photos, and it looks weird because it's scar tissue. He has several inches of scar tissue adding to the diameter there, and it's not actually muscle, so it makes these slightly malformed big lumps in there that are somewhat muscle shaped, but they're just weird and bizarre. It's scar tissue. And that's what happened when Flex Wheeler shrunk down and has lost, like 40 pounds of muscle. And this is what he looks like. He looks really weird. The problem that Rich has, you take a look at Rich and the large amounts of collagen he has there. Collagen, unlike synthol, is completely permanent. That is going to be there forever. And I think the most extreme case you see of Rich shrinking down, you take these photos here. If you just don't look at his delts and arms and you look at his back, chest, things like that, his legs, you'll realize that this photo, he is actually smaller than I am. And it's again, his arms are bigger, his delts are bigger, but his overall muscle mass, he's actually smaller than me at this point. And he shrunk way down, but you notice he still has, he probably only has really 16-inch arms under there. But they look like they're like 19 or 20 inches still, and they really are measuring that because he has inches and inches of collagen in there. This man has over probably 5 pounds of collagen in each one of his arms. It's permanent. So if he shrinks down, this is what you get. And if he shrinks even smaller, if he goes down on TRT, because of his age, because of his training style, things like that, not really fully grasping the full mechanics of how to train natural and him getting older, he's going to get even smaller than these photos, but his arms are going to stay the same size. And if he drops down to, 185, 190 pounds, this would be really healthy for him at this point to do. It would be a really, really good idea due to his age and all the previous gear abuse he needs to. He's still going to be walking around with 20-inch fake looking arms and these massive delts on a 185-pound body. And at that point, the people who follow him who don't fully understand that this is actually collagen injections, this permanent stuff in his arms and shoulders, that even taking it out surgically would leave his arms a horrific mess, and it would cost a fortune to get it all surgically removed. It would probably take a dozen different surgeries to do it all. This is permanent, and it's going to just create so much scarring. It would leave him a big mess. So he can't really do it. It's not an option, and it's unfortunate that his muscle dysmorphia made him do this years ago, but now he's kind of stuck with it, and he's got, a massive thriving business that's based upon his body image to some extent, and he simply cannot afford to shrink down. So because of his business model, he can't do it because this will be the result of it due to all the collagen, and it will kind of ruin him at that point. So that's why Rich can't really do what a lot of people are suggesting there. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. But let me give you guys a bicep shot before I go. Oh, Mount Bicephus.